All right, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, and that means it's time to catch up with our good friend Wild Bill from Western Edge Living. Good afternoon, Bill. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Jay. How you doing today?
Doing good, thank you. Friday, and we've got some
Yes,
nice
sir.
weather. It's going to be not as warm as what we've had over the last month or so. So I'm looking forward to maybe hanging out outside, doing some stuff around the house.
In eastern Montana, though, they're looking at the highs in the mid 90s coming up this weekend. And the further west you go out to Devil's Lake, sunny and 75 today. So quite a transition in temperatures across the region.
It really is, and I'm welcoming this. I say cooler weather. You know, we're going to be about 82, 83 today, but tomorrow back up around 90, 92. To me,
Yeah.
in my mind, because we've had such hot temperatures, I'm welcoming this cooler weather.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what you got going on this weekend? Any big plans?
Well, nothing serious, but just that. Open up the garage door, hang out in the garage for a little bit, walk around the house. There's some projects I want to do around the house. I'd like to put a new front door in, maybe a garage door, and siding. Maybe I might put that off till next year. I'm not quite sure yet.
Oh, okay. So sounds like a weekend for you to kind of catch up and do some domestic things around your house. That's kind of where I'm at too. I don't really have any plans for the weekend. So yeah, just gonna kind
Have
of
you?
enjoy what's left of summer, man. We're winding down quick here. Wow.
We are. I can't believe it. You know, it feels like August is, to me, is the Sunday night of the week. That's what it feels like.
The Sunday, yeah, kind of like tomorrow, yeah, it's gonna get real, right?
Yeah, because September you're going into the work week, which is to me the fall football season. You get so much, but you're coming off a weekend of June and July. Those were your fun days. You had a lot of fun days on Saturday and Sunday, Friday and Saturday.
September in North Dakota, though, is typically underrated. We do
Hmm.
have that mental transition, like you mentioned, the Sunday night of the week. But September has gorgeous weather. I mean, no wind, blue skies, and
Hmm.
we just have that mindset where fall is coming, winter's coming, and the kids are back in school, and we're transitioning to another season. But I've always liked September, and it's kind of odd though. But I don't know if you recall September 11th back in 2001. It was one of the most gorgeous days ever. The sky was such a vivid blue, and it was all across the country like that when the world stopped turning that day. It was a beautiful, beautiful day.
I remember that day exactly. I know exactly what I was doing, where I was at, and what happened throughout the rest of the day. But you were right. It was a beautiful morning that day. I remember that like it was just yesterday. I was in Minot at the time when it happened, and yeah, it was a time. 25 years later, can you believe it? 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I would really like to go to New York and see the 9/11 memorial and the
Hmm.
museum that they have. Anybody that I've talked to that has experienced that says it changes you. It really moves you deeply. And yeah, it's quite an honor to the victims and the survivors and the first responders on that horrible, horrible day. And I'd like to visit that site. I would.
You know, you mentioned the changing of the weather in September. The colors out in the Badlands are absolutely phenomenal, right? During that time of year.
It's getting there. Yeah, you're right. The colors that and it's only for just a few days. There's a really short window where you can experience the colors before the wind comes up, blows all the leaves away,
Hmm.
or it gets covered with snow. We get that first snowfall. That's generally what brings all the leaves down, is they get heavy with snow as their grip on the tree is weakened. And
Right.
so when it does happen, if you want to experience the colors of fall and do it as soon as you can, because it doesn't last very long.
First football game of this season was last night. I don't know if you caught it or not, but the
It was a
Cardinals and
close one.
Panthers
Yeah, it was a
played,
close one
and
too.
it was a close one. Came down to really the last play of the game, I think.
Oh, really? I didn't see it, but I saw the score was like 33-30 or something like that.
Yeah. So looking forward to football. Obviously, high school will be firing up. I know the kids in high school are already practicing with their two-a-days. College, we've got NDSU. They've stepped up into the second tier now, so they've got their hands full of this very first season. And then whoever your favorite football team in the National Football League is, we'll see how they do. So we've got some exciting months ahead of us, but Sunday morning at 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, we've got more exciting things. Of course, you've got conversations with some interesting people. Of course, always talking about interesting things.
Yeah, exactly. And this Sunday we have part two of the episode you're about to watch here on KFYR Plus. It's we visit with the Stark County Veterans Affairs Officer. Her name is Jessica McClellan, and we have a conversation with her about how North Dakota does such a great job in honoring our veterans and military personnel, and how we don't let our foot up off the gas. That's a task that has no finish line. That's going to be ongoing for as long as I'm alive, as long as Jessica has anything to say about it. It's going to be going on forever and ever, because you can't thank these men and women enough for serving our country the way that they have. So we talked with Jessica. There was a forum in Medora for Veterans and Military Personnel Day, and we talked about that forum, the things that were discussed, including they had a they had a table set up, which is called the Missing Man Table, and there's quite the criteria that they follow to set this table up. It's to honor those who couldn't be there with us that day. And there's things like an inverted glass. There's a Bible on that table. There's a poppy. And so we talk about that. That's in the first half. And then the second half on Sunday morning, we have Tyler Knopp, the specialist with the U.S. Army. He's 19 years old. He's from Bismarck, and he's a crew chief on a Black Hawk helicopter. And we do have the helicopter was on display in Medora. So we got some great footage of the helicopter, and he talks about his role and what he wants to, 19 years old, and he's a crew chief on a Black Hawk helicopter. He wants to be a pilot. We talk about what that's going to take to get him from being a crew chief to a pilot. And he also lets us know the fastest that he's ever gone in a Black Hawk helicopter, which is short of top end on that bird. And it's pretty eye-opening how fast that thing can scoot across the state and get in harm's way to ensure our safety. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it's part two of our feature that is in agreement with the TR Medora Foundation. And it was military and veterans personnel, or Veterans and Military Personnel Appreciation Day. And they had activities all day in Medora. They had a golf tournament. They had the forum that we mentioned. And then they were honored at the musical that night. And so, yeah, that's what's coming up Sunday. And part one is coming up here in just a moment. It's our visit with a man who spent, he spent 6 years at Hanoi Hilton. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say a couple of things here real quick because I'm kind of confused. Is it Michael McGrath that we've got today?
Yes.
Okay. You had me confused when you started out part two of the conversation with. I thought, okay, yeah, we're completely lost.
Welcome to my world, Jay.
I've got Michael McGrath.
A lot of moving parts.
I got Michael McGrath queued up, and so good.
Yes.
We've got that. We're lined up correctly. Then second part is I believe Mr. Knopp's father, Jay. I know
really?
Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, I rode with him on a Black Hawk helicopter
Oh, wow.
a time or two.
Yay.
Yep.
Oh, well, make sure you give him a call and tell him his son's going to be on Western Edge Living coming up Sunday morning.
Now, I mean, we probably already talked about this. Have you ridden in a Black Hawk helicopter at all?
I've never been in any helicopter, to be honest. I have not. No.
Okay, scared the bejesus out of me because, you know, with a plane, if you are actually turning sideways like this, like a helicopter does, you feel like something's obviously very, very wrong because in a plane, you're not doing that. But in helicopters, oh, yeah, they do that. They'll turn sideways to make their U-turn, right? Because we went to Devil's Lake on a Black Hawk and it was a September day and it was a nice day, but it was very windy that day. I want to say it was 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, wow.
And we had to get up above the wind, so we had to fly very high with the helicopter. So we were way, way up in the air. And when we landed facing north. So the helicopter got up, and as it turned to sideways, and I was literally sideways with the door open. They fly with the door open.
Oh, no. Yeah, see, I don't think I could do that very well. And I don't think I could even get on a jetliner. After the stroke I have some anxiety issues. And your experience right there just gave me a little jolt of anxiety. I could imagine, tipping like that. I would not handle that well at this point in my life.
It was, suffice it to say, and that was the first time I ever left Earth. I had never, never
really?
flown. So that was the
Never
very first
flown
time.
before. Oh,
No.
okay. Never been on a jet or?
I have
Really?
now. I have since then, but that was the very first time, and that would have been about 2013 or something, 2014, when I first flew in this Black Hawk. But since then, I've flown, and I will be flying again in September.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, welcome to the airwaves. You've been on the air, but never in the air.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so looking forward to that. We got that straight away figured out because I was worried about Michael McGrath when you said it was, who was the first guest that you said a continuation? So there's two guests on this episode, apparently.
The episode that we have coming up on Sunday morning on West Dakota Fox, part one is Jessica McClellan, the Veterans Affairs Officer in Dickinson, and part two of that same episode is Tyler Knopp in the Black Hawk helicopter.
Perfect. So Sunday morning, you catch that again, 8:37, 7:30 Mountain Time. We've talked about this in the past, Bill. You've got so much going on in Western North Dakota. It's huge in energy, huge in oil. How do you find some of these guests? Do they reach out to you? Is it, somebody says, hey, you really got to track down Tyler, or you got to track down this person because they've got a great story to tell you? Or is it really all word of mouth and you do the tracking down part?
When we first started, it was a challenge because we were virtually unknown. But Western Edge Living, by golly, we've gained some momentum and more people are aware of our show. And in fact, here's my list. I don't know if you can see that or no, that's not going to work. We're booked up through the end of September. We have a sculptor coming up next week. Jesse Veeder from Watford City is going to be on the show. The Tibor brothers out of Hebron, they're inducted into they're going to be inducted in the North Dakota Music Hall of Fame. They're on the agenda. We have the Out of the Darkness Walk people coming in. We have Dickinson State University, the foundation director, and also the rodeo club coach is going to be on the show. We got the gals from North Dakota Magazine coming in. So to answer your question, it doesn't take a whole lot. And we still have a waiting list. We still have people that are reaching out to us now and wanting to be on the show. We had the Mattahay Trail in Medora. They had a big event last week, and we're going to be covering that post with the results, and
Sure.
after the fact, we couldn't get it booked up. And so it's gotten so easy, and yeah, we're full right now through the end of September, and I don't want to book any further than that because these episodes have to. You see what's going on. You and I even get confused as to what's running and where. It takes a
Yeah.
little bit of finesse, and
Yeah.
we're still trying to figure this out. And so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves at the moment. It's really coming around to becoming something that people find value in, and that's what it's all about. There's some good stories to be told out here, great things happening, and so booking guests is not a problem.
Have
It's taken
you
on a life of its own.
have you had a chance to put on the calendar the Theodore Roosevelt public? I keep calling it public. Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Have you had a chance to get that on the books? Maybe do an episode from there, or
We're kind of holding back until after tourism season traditionally
Mhm.
comes to slows down out here in the West. I think they're, about October or so, November, right in there, right before Christmas. Yes, to answer your question, absolutely. In fact, I'm looking at doing some live events at the library. We haven't, really pursued much more than our intentions to do that. But yeah, how can you? Yeah, we have to do the library. It's what everybody's talking about. It's one of
Mhm.
the right now the biggest attraction out here in Western North Dakota. So yes, to answer your question, we will see the library on Western Edge Living very soon.
And one of when you mentioned the slower season, when things slow down after Labor Day there in Medora, is that when things for the Cowboy Hall of Fame for you kind of pick up?
Sort of. It kind of slows down, of course. We have less volunteers. I'm not no longer with the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame, but I do,
Oh, okay.
keep an eye on what's happening over there. So in the past, they usually stay open until Medora's Cowboy Christmas in early December. And I don't know what the plan is this year, but it's going to be a whole new thing because we're transitioning. The whole community of Medora is, as I'm told, there's transitioning to a year-round destination, and so
Hmm.
what that means exactly, I don't think anybody's sure. How that's going to come to be, but yeah, I think the whole community of Medora is definitely kind of on a wait and see kind of a mode right now.
I think Christmas in Medora would be lovely, and they do special things there in Medora each and every year. I know that they have programs that they host, don't they?
Oh yeah, Cowboy Christmas, Medora's Old Fashioned Cowboy Christmas. It's an event. I think it's generally the first weekend in December, and the stores all open up. They have eats in the street. They have hot apple cider that you can, enjoy as you're
Hmm.
strolling through the town of Medora. They have music. They have I have productions at the Old Town Theater, and a lot of things go on. Yeah, Medora's Old Fashioned Cowboy Christmas has definitely been a big deal for the last several years.
I know it's pretty new because Jody had done a story on it, but the cafe in Medora changed from, your basic American food fare to, I mean, it's still selling American food, but changed the name a little bit to. Is the menu a bit different? Do you know anything about that at all?
No,
The
I haven't.
Lemoore Cafe.
I have not been there since they've transitioned. I used to go there a lot when it was a Cowboy Cafe. And what I'm curious about, what happened to all the pictures that were in there? Oh man, there was hundreds of old photographs of some of the
Hmm.
old cowboys and things that were a big part of the early days in Medora. So I'm kind of curious where those transitioned to. But I have not been there, Jay. And you know what? In a couple of weeks, when he asks me that same question, I will have an answer for you.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to remember that question for you. Before we let you go, how is the new gig?
Oh, yeah. I just wrapped up my fifth shift this morning, and it's different. It's like doing morning radio for. I mean, well, it is morning radio, but
Hmm.
it's a process. It's going well. I really enjoy it. And so far I have not had any hate mail or any a bad mojo coming my way. So I must be doing something right. So yeah,
What's the
it's going
call
well.
letters again? Is it KDVL?
I KDLR, Devil's Lake
KDLR.
Radio. Yeah, been
There you
there
go.
over 10 years now. Is it 11 years? And so I did the afternoon show for over a decade, and now the guy that was doing it, Paul Torpey, his wife got a job with NDSU in Fargo, and so they, after 34 years of doing mornings on KDLR, he wrapped up his career there last Friday, and they moved to Fargo, and we sure wish him the very best. But yeah, some big old stinky tennis shoes to fill on that one.
And are you able to listen online, or what's the frequency? 102.5 or something?
1240 AM, 99.7 FM. Hey,
There we
Alexa,
go.
play KDLR.
Boom, there you go. That's all you got to do is get it on there. Now, is there a brother station, or rather a sister station that's on the FM
There's
side? 10,
There's four
102.5 or a,
stations there. Yeah, there's four stations there. There's Double Z Country, KZZY. There's KDLR, of course, and then there's the mix. I'm not sure what the call letters are. And then there's a classic hit station, KDBL. So they got four stations going there. They're all
there you go.
staffed. Yeah, they're all staffed. I mean, they're really doing it right. The Lake region is very fortunate to have the radio station that they do, because they've got four stations. They've got their live from 6 to 6 at least, and they're live and local. That's their motto, and it's really working well for them, and they're quite successful.
I lived in Devil's Lake for a few years, and I saw a video here recently. They had a little, what's it called, where they put their items out on the street, like a sidewalk sale. And somebody was walking and advertising their sidewalk sale this week. And just the shots, those live shots that I saw, it kind of gave me those memories come rushing back at you. Like, I remember that street, and I remember walking into Jarrell's downtown and all those shops that were downtown when I lived there. It made me want to go back and visit once again, and I really wanted to just jump in the car and drive over there.
They just had their crazy days just a couple of days ago in Devil's Lake.
That's exactly what it was. Yep.
Yeah, they have a real active chamber. They always have things going on, from the chamber annual fishing tournament. They've got the Devil's Run Car Show every May and June. That's the largest car show in the state of North Dakota, the Devil's Run Car Show. They also have the Devil's Lake Volunteer Fire Department puts on an ice fishing tournament every January, and that is huge. They have, I think you could buy these raffle tickets, and there was over $350,000 in prizes, including a new Toyota pickup. There was a compact car that was part of the grand prize. That's huge. They always have what's it called? Shiverfest. They've got that every winter. Very active. A lot of benchmark events all year long. And there's also, in the summertime, they have this Arts in the Park at Roosevelt Park in Devil's Lake, live music every Tuesday night. And they also have what's called the Fort Totten Little Theater. And I went to their performance of The Wizard of Oz last Friday, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. I was so entertained by the production of The Wizard of Oz. And so there's a lot of really cool things that go on in Devil's Lake. And they also have the Devil's Lake Shootout Rodeo every September. This year's September 11th, 12th, and 13th. and they have over 500 contestants that come to town for that. So I'm real impressed with Devil's Lake. They really got it going on. They really, really do.
I'll have to tell you my story of running into Randy Bachman in Devil's Lake. Randy played a show at the old Art Claire Hotel that was on the east side of Devil's Lake, and I went to the show and got a chance to hang out with him and his band for a while. I'll have to tell you that story.
Cool.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
You ain't seen nothing yet, right?
That's right. Let's see. Let's again tell the folks just a quick reminder what we've got here, then we'll let you go because we're coming up on it here. Bill, this episode that we're going to get to right now, you've got Michael McGrath. Who is Michael McGrath once again?
He's a retired U.S. Navy pilot who spent 6 years in the Hanoi Hilton, and he shares with us how he survived that experience mentally and physically. And, you know, what's interesting is some of the first things that he will tell you is how the people back home, his wife raised 2 babies and for 6 years did not know if her husband was alive or dead, and the mentality that it took to do that. And also the camaraderie that he has with some of those other POWs and the groups that they formed. And, you know, and the biggest takeaway, Jay, the biggest takeaway out of that thing is he says that he always had faith that America was going to come and get him. America was not going to let him down. And that's what kept him going for 6 years at the Hanoi Hilton. And he talks about, I don't know if this is on the interview or not, but when you have an optimist, and that's your roommate in the Hanoi Hilton, an optimist will say that we're going to get out tomorrow. They're going to come get us tomorrow. A pessimist says that they're never going to come get us. They're never going to come get us. Well, first of all, the optimist is wrong or is right every day, or excuse me, I don't know. Okay, the optimist is right every day except one, and the pessimist is wrong every day except one. And so it's pretty interesting. I don't think I got that right, but anyway, it's a wonderful episode, and we're greatly looking forward to our viewers here on KFYR Plus watching this episode. It's going to be great.
Well, Bill, you have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. All right, pal?
Sounds great, Jay. Thanks for the time, and yes, till next week.
You bet.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you.
Discover North Dakota like never before. It's all new with a fresh name and bold vision. North Dakota Magazine now brings you 6 inspiring issues per year. From the breathtaking glow of sunrises and sunsets to the enchanting Badlands and endless prairies, every page captures the beauty, spirit, and stories of this remarkable land. Don't just visit North Dakota, experience it. Subscribe today at NorthDakotaMagazine.com. North Dakota Magazine, your window to the Peace Garden State.
Welcome to a special edition of Western Edge Living presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. We are on location in beautiful, historic Medora for Military and Veterans Appreciation Day. First and foremost, I want to thank the folks at CHI St. Alexius Health for getting us through the 4th of July with our safety as their number one concern. They had extra staff, extra facilities, just another way that they care about the folks here on the Western Edge. It's a special day here in Medora, North Dakota. First of all, it's Military and Veterans Appreciation Day on the hottest day so far in 2026. But you know, we went ahead and looked to see what the hottest day was in Saudi Arabia, 129 degrees. We're cool here in Medora. Coming up on Western Edge Living today, you are going to meet Captain J. Michael McGrath. He's retired from the U.S. Navy. He spent over 6 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. His story is nothing short than amazing. Oh, what a show we have today. This is Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson, on location in Medora, and our program starts now.
CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson presents Western Edge Living.
Western Edge Living.
At Gate City Bank, our team is ready to make your day a little better. That means perks designed for you, like instant debit cards, automatic ATM refunds, and early paydays with direct deposit. With local service, people who know you, and a free gift when you open your checking account. For every customer, every community, every day.
Looking for somewhere with a little more wonder, more woes, more oohs and ahs, more teeing it up and cooling it down, and zipping by and taking it easy, more grand adventures and simple joys and memories waiting to be made. Find it all out here. And just when you think you've seen everything, there's always more to Medora.
Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Fluke Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
This is Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. I'm your host, Bill Polinick. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And another one of our marketing partners is the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation, who have organized Military and Veteran Appreciation Day here in Medora. And I appreciate our guest today, Captain J. Michael McGrath, U.S. Navy, retired. Good to see you, sir.
That is true. And at first, I want to thank the foundation for putting this on. It's really an honor to be invited up here.
You know, I'm going to cut right to the chase here. You know, we met here a little while ago. You were a captain in Vietnam. You're a POW, and you were captain for over 6 years, correct?
Well, a little under 6 years, not over.
Okay, but you seem of such good, strong mental fiber. I mean, you seem very, very strong, sir.
Well, I think I'll let me put it this way. I'm about the same as all the other POWs. The POWs from 1965 to 1973. We're Air Force, Navy, Army pilots, and we stuck together as a group for the last 60 years. And we we're just normal, strong people to begin with. We're pilots, we're servicemen, we exercise, we're in good shape, and so I'm just normal, just like everybody else.
I got to tell you, it's refreshing, you know, because you are the first POW that I've ever met, and I didn't really know what to expect other than what I've learned through, reading books and through Hollywood and things like that. And it's great to meet you. And one thing you pointed out at the seminar today was the camaraderie that you share with the gentleman you just mentioned. Talk about that. How do you interact with them?
Well, today we were talking about. They said, "How do you survive? How do you survive being a POW?" And for years you live on the floor, no bed, no paper, no pencil, no book, no pair of glasses, no Bible. You have nothing. You just live on a cement slab or on a wooden slab, and years later you come out and serve your country. And so your question is, how do you survive that and come out with your sanity? And I guess in our case, we were all pilots. We were air crew. We started off with our 500 captured air crew in North Vietnam. They tortured 28 of us to death over there, trying to stick the name right and the serial number. But of the 468 who survived, we formed a camaraderie, a fraternity, so strong that here we are 60 years later, and we're still together. We believe in each other. We supported each other. We communicated. We organized. We talked of our dreams together, what we were going to do when we got out, because we knew the United States would get us out sooner or later, and our country wouldn't forget us. So I guess we're just a bunch of kind of like young fraternity guys. Now we're old, but we're still fraternity guys that are still believe in each other, and our friendships will last a lifetime.
Wow. Talk about the day that your life changed. Talk about that very day when they captured you.
Okay, well, I'm a Navy pilot.
Right.
And let me back up a little bit and say, I'm really honored to be here in North Dakota. I'm from western Colorado. I'm a real Westerner, a real cowboy, and I'm really happy to be up here. But and all of a sudden in June 30th, 1967, my life changed. I was a young Navy pilot. I'd flown 179 combat missions off aircraft carriers in North Vietnam, and I'm bombing a bridge with my A4C Skyhawk. I'm coming down, delivering bombs at almost 500 miles an hour. I delivered my bomb, and all of a sudden, boom, my world changed. I was hit. My airplane just suddenly, all the hydraulics were gone, the stick was gone, and it rolled over and was heading towards the rice paddies at 500 miles an hour. So, no control. So I was able to eject from my triple jet and pull the face curtain to get down, and I was out. But being out of control and pinned against the cockpit, when I went out, the cockpit hit my arm and broke my arm.
Oh my!
Yeah, so my humeral head is sheared off, and my arm is now in by my rib somewhere. So for my ejection injury, I can move my arm here and there. My arm is locked in place, and so that's a lasting injury. My back was broken with compression fractures, and my left knee was dislocated and was out like this, spinning like a propeller at 500 miles an hour. So it was going around. It severed off my anterior cruciate, my posterior cruciate, and had compression fractures. The seat hits you with 19 instantaneous G's right on your back. So I was paralyzed for about 2 months. I couldn't even move my head. I was a rag doll. So that was the day that my life changed, and of course they jumped on me right away and captured me. So that's a quick story of my life in June 30th, 1967.
Wow. 500 miles an hour, upside down, heading toward a rice paddy. Yeah, my goodness, I couldn't imagine.
I took 2 swings in the chute.
Wow.
I swung a couple of times. I tried to position myself, but I was just hanging there, and I could see the rice coming. I hit, but I was helpless. I couldn't run, evade. I was just hurt. I was hurt bad.
So upside down, ejecting wasn't an option at all, was it?
No, it was fast. But my Navy training came through.
We will have more with retired U.S. Navy Captain J. Michael McGrath, prisoner of war in Vietnam, coming up on Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson.
Buying a home is one of life's biggest moments, and choosing the right bank makes all the difference. Gate City Bank is the #1 mortgage lender in North Dakota, trusted by more home buyers across the state. With free pre-approvals, fast decisions, and local servicing you can count on, your home loan isn't just moving forward, it's taken care of. Every customer, every community, every day.
For a better way of life. You know, I got 2 home runs.
You got 2 jacks.
And then my grand slam, I signed the ball for you.
Okay.
And it says, Papa, I love you.
Why did you do that?
Because you taught me everything about baseball.
You're so sweet.
Looking for somewhere with a little more wonder, more woes, more oohs and ahs, more teeing it up and cooling it down, and zipping by and taking it easy, more grand adventures and simple joys and memories waiting to be made. Find it all out here. And just when you think you've seen everything, there's always more to Medora.
Community is more than a word at Dakota Community Bank and Trust. It's who we are, who we serve, and what we believe in. Since 1940, we've been a community-focused lender. We value great customer service and common sense banking. And we invite you to come and be part of our banking family.
Serving the community, looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Welcome back to our conversation with retired U.S. Navy Captain J. Michael McGrath. Prisoner of War in Vietnam continues now on Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson. You know, one thing that you brought up when you were on the stage today, sir, is how important the people back at home, namely your wife, the role that they played while you were, she didn't know if you were alive. She didn't know anything about your whereabouts, anything, but yet she raised your children, and you were quick to point that out today.
Yeah, I give full credit to the families back home. You know, in Vietnam, 1960, say 1952 to 1972, 20 years. Well, the Navy pilots are over there on aircraft carriers, and the Air Force pilots flying out of Thailand and South Vietnam. We were just doing our job and our duty, what we were trained for. Our government was trying to help South Vietnam, and we were trying to stop the communists. But our job was to intercept the supplies that were coming from Russia and from China and different communist countries going to the Viet Cong and down south. But for us, they got captured and were missing in action, hundreds of missing in action, and it turned out 662 of us POWs survived. But what we're talking about is the families back home, and you know we need to give credit back to the families back home who stood behind us, and the government back home, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the services that supported our families back home. We need to give credit to them that supported us in our position. We're just missing in action, but back home nobody knew anything. They didn't know if we were alive. They didn't know if they were dead, and that's a real strain on a family to not know anything.
So the day that your wife got word that they found you, that you're coming home, what does she share with you about that?
Well, I wasn't there. I was still in jail.
What has she shared with you?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure they were, but it was like us. When they told us, oh, you'll go home someday, we didn't believe them. So in her thing, there was 2 or 3 people, there was rumors and rumors and rumors. And she'd get her hopes up, and then the rumor died. Then she'd get her hopes up, and the rumor died. So from what she's told me, she was informed 2 or 3 times falsely that there would be relief, there'd be negotiations, some people come home, but they all turned out to be false. So in the end, she didn't believe anything because she had been led astray with her emotions, you know, over and over again. So in the end, the girls just said, hey, well, we'll believe it when we see it, you know.
Okay, so your wife is at home, you know, doing all that you just said. They told you that you're going to go home someday. You said you didn't believe them. What did you believe was going to happen?
Well, they've been lying to us for years.
So what did you think was your future held?
Well, you know, we were there from the longest held POW there was 9 years. He was an Army Special Forces guy, and then Everett Alvarez there. Everett Alvarez, the pilot, was there 8.5 years. So we'd been up there a long time, from 6 to 8 years. I was almost 6, and during that time, they never told us the truth. It was always, you will die here. You're a criminal, and you will be executed. That's the only thing we heard for years, was that the Vietnamese were going to execute us, and they considered us war criminals, and therefore we didn't get anything under the Geneva Convention. Nothing there. So.
Wow. We're having this conversation on the 12th day of July in Medora, North Dakota. Outside it's 109 degrees. When I brought that up when we first met, you told me a story of how you survived in the cell or the room that you were in. Talk about that.
Well, the room that they're in was about 9 feet or 10 feet by 10 feet, about where we're sitting here. And there had been an escape on May 10th, 1969. Two POWs went out through the roof. They were in the room next to me. We could hear them go through the tiles at the night, and then down a lightning rod to the ground and across camp and over the wall, and they were gone. So two POWs had escaped. Two Air Force pilots. They had escaped. They were gone. They were out of the cities. Well, they quickly captured them. The Vietnamese, you're in a communist country. Guess what? When you say every person out on the street they searched the countryside arm in arm for within 100 square miles. They searched until they found them hidden in the weeds, and they were quickly brought back to camp, and the tortures started. So we were all heavily tortured after these two guys were brought back.
Yourself included?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was tortured. They laid me down on the pavement, took off my clothes, and I was nude, and they beat me across my butt with a fan belt until the blood was coming out with strokes across my butt. And that was my punishment, was to get beaten with a fan belt. And it hurts. You know, you just kind of tighten up and you just hang on, hoping they stop. And pretty soon they stop, and then you recover. So at other people, they dislocated arms. People lived in irons and manacles for months. It was a pretty brutal summer then. But back to your question, we've got the heat. The heat tonight it's so hot here, 105, 110 degrees. It reminded me of the heat in Vietnam in the summertime.
You brought up 120 degrees.
Right. We estimate. Okay. We don't know because he didn't have a thermometer. But it was so hot in those rooms. The Vietnamese had blocked off any vent, any air coming in. So think of a little stone building out in the middle of the sun with nothing but... in fact, we had these things. Remember the bridge on the River Kwai?
Yes.
They had those little hot ovens they put the guy in. We had those. And I didn't live in one, but my roommate was in one. And with the temperature got so hot in there and in our room that we'd take off all our clothes and we'd be nude and we'd lay on the floor, just hoping for a little bit of cool from the ground. And you lay there in the nude, or maybe have your underwear on. I don't mean to be gross about nude, but think of underwear. And you lay there with a little piece of paper or a fan or whatever you can get your hands on to make air move on your body. Because in that type of heat, which we estimate 110, 120, so it's like an oven, and everything turns to heat rash. You know, your everything where your arm is right here, your armpits, your knees, your crotch, everything is heat rash. And you just try to keep a little air moving on it. To keep it, the suffering is so great, and that's how you live. And so it really was hot in there. So if you're in solitary, you find out that your mind is spinning 24 hours a day, and your mind never stops working. Now, how do you fill up 24 hours of time with there's nothing? You're sitting there, and here's what you do. You say, well, maybe I can remember everybody in my first grade class. Maybe I can remember everybody in my senior class. Maybe I can remember everybody on the football team. You know, and maybe I can build a house, and I'll start with one brick at a time. And you do anything to take up your time and do something with your brain, because your brain never stops. And guess what? You do this for half an hour, and you think, oh my God, I've gone through my whole life in an hour. Maybe I've missed something.
Wow.
So you go back and you do it again. Well, let's see, I missed a person. You know, in other words, you are fighting to keep your sanity and your brain going in solitary. Solitary is the worst. That is terrible punishment, probably for anybody in the world. But then as you get in with roommates, now you can talk to roommates. You can find out about their brothers and sisters and their life and their family and their airplane and what they flew. And you can build a camaraderie and a friendship. So you're really lucky to get a roommate. And then you get 2 or 3 roommates. Now you can share more stories, and pretty soon you can start learning from each other. Like my first roommate spoke German, so for 2 years I learned German. Ich habe etwas Deutsch gelernt. You know, I've learned German, and then they had an escape, and then I ended up with roommates that spoke Spanish. So I had 4 years of Spanish training in we call it the University of Hanoi University. So I am fluent in Spanish because of Hanoi University. So in other words, I used that time without seeing a book or paper to memorize languages until I could say them fluently. In other words, I kept my brain occupied by learning. You learn. I had hundreds of books on my book list that I was going to read, and I had 8,000 words of Spanish on my Spanish list, and I wrote them down in a dictionary. My dictionary that I wrote from all my Spanish is now in the museum at the Naval Academy. So in other words, you'll do anything to keep your brain working, and I was lucky that I could learn Spanish.
If you don't mind me asking, sir, what did that come to play a role in your...
I think faith is an individual thing. Like my one room, I had 9 roommates. Guess what? We had the Mormon bishop, we had the Catholic, I was the Episcopalian, we had the Baptist, we had the Methodist, we had the Lutheran. We had 9 different faiths in one room. So nobody proselytized for anybody else to change their faith. Everybody had their own individual faith, and you stuck to it. And some people may have gotten stronger. Some people had remained the same. I was an Episcopalian, which is kind of a neutral thing, so that was enough for me. I didn't think it. Now, during that same room, I had a good Catholic. So when the rest of us took a siesta or was quiet, he was on his knees with a rosary, homemade rosary. And that was important for him to be on his knees for 2 or 3 hours a day on the cement, going through the rosary. None of us bothered him, and it didn't bother us, but that was just important to him. So everybody had their level of importance, and mine was just neutral.
On the flight home from Vietnam to wherever you landed in the United States, or how many others were on that plane with you?
Well, see, the C-141s that they sent in, it was called off, and we skipped ahead now 6, 7, 8 years. All of a sudden, the B-52s have ended the war. 10 days of bombing. The Vietnamese signed the agreement. I'm up in a dungeon up by China. I'm in a dungeon. I've been there. I haven't seen the light of day for 8 months. And I lived in a black room with big walls under a triple canopy, and with a hole in the middle of the room. We had 19 people who lived in there. We all had one toilet. You couldn't see it, but it was a black hole. So you all lived with that toilet, that black hole in the floor, for 8 months. All of a sudden, the doors opened. They said the war's over. Get in the trucks. You go home. And they put us in trucks, brought us down from China.
No advance warning, no clue that this was coming.
What we didn't know was that the B-52s were bombing Hanoi, but I was up by China, so I couldn't hear. We never heard the B-52 bombing. So this was all the B-52 bombings of 1972 were out of our hearing range. We couldn't hear it. And then they signed the document, said the war's over, so they opened up all the cells and let us all out and smiled and started giving us Russian candy bars. And saying, oh, remember, we good people, No, we didn't. They were not good people, and we remembered the bad times. But what they did, they called us out and they lined us up, and they said, oh, line up in military formation on line. And we said, what? That's new. Senior man, he stepped forward. Senior man in front. This is new. You've never seen this. And they had what we call the Hanoi Hannah. She was like Tokyo Rose. She read the radio in the propaganda, and she came out and she read the things, the signed document. It said, the People's Republic of Vietnam and the United States of America. And we thought, whoa, they've never called us by the United States of America. They called us, imperialist baby killers and bad names, but never used the correct name. And all of a sudden, here's the Hanoi Hannah reading the correct names, the correct words, and no propaganda. And it was the end of the war. And that was the first time they told us the truth in 8 years.
Wow.
Man.
Wow. So since all this, I would have to believe that you can't have a bad day.
No, that's true. I'm free. I'm in America, the best country in the world, and I cannot have a bad day. I am and I got to continue. I got to stay in the Navy and continue to serve my country for a total of 28 and a half years. And then life is good because then I applied to the airlines. I said, I always wanted to be an airline pilot. I got denied that as a young man. So at age 52, I got hired by United Airlines to become a pilot. What better world than that? and I got to serve a second career as a United Airline pilot.
Wow, good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you. And meanwhile, you're doing things like what we're doing in Medora this weekend, and you also have a website that has a lot of information
Yeah, well,
on.
we have I'm a historian for the POWs, and we started a website, and for those who can copy it down, it's VietnamWarPOWs.com.
We'll put that on the screen.
One word, VietnamWarPOWs.com. And that's our website. We have about 100 books written by or about us. My own books, it's been in print for like 54 years, and it's still a bestseller. And many other books written by the POWs that tell us about the brutality we went through, the life we went through. These books are really powerful.
Yeah.
And I've listed them all on my website. The camp descriptions on their website. The biographies of all our POWs are on their website. It is a treasure house of information about the Vietnam War POWs.com.
Again, that website is
VietnamWarPOWs.com.
Okay. How interesting. I'd love to continue talking, but I'd be awful selfish because you've got a group of people here that are wanting to do the same. So I am very, very grateful for having met you. I've had conversations in this environment with governors, politicians, with TV and movie stars, but I can't think of one interview that's been more important than the one I just did. This has been very interesting, sir. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I'm just one of many Air Force and Navy and Marine Corps pilots that are very proud of our country, proud of our service, proud that we're part of a group together, and proud that we all got to serve. So I'm just one. I represent all of them, and because a lot of them were tortured worse than I was, went through a lot more than I did, and I'm just very proud to represent them today with you. And
Captain J. Michael McGrath, retired U.S. Navy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service to the United States of America, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is Western Edge Living, presented by CHI St. Alexius Health Dickinson.
Western Edge Living.